There was someone who once walked over to a Rosh Yeshiva after the Yomim Noraim, after the high holidays, and asked him, said, how did the Rosh Yeshiva's Yomim Noraim, how did the Rosh Yeshiva's holidays go? How was the davening? How was the inspiration? So the Rosh Yeshiva responded, ask me Pesach time about how Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur was. Because Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur need to leave an impact on us and who we are. But it's not only Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Every experience that we have throughout the year has to leave some kind of an impact on our daily lives. This past week we commemorated Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, a day of great sadness for the Jewish people, a day in which we commemorate the destruction of both Batei Mikdash and all of the various tragedies that have taken place throughout Jewish history on this specific day, and a day of really Jewish national mourning. This Shabbos is Shabbos Nachamu. It's a time when Hashem says to us that He wants us to be comforted. It's a time when Hashem reaches out to us again and says to us, you are my people and I still love you. And it's also a time for us to be able to even look back at this week. And as we move ourselves further in the direction heading up to the Yomim Noraim, to ask ourselves, how did this Tisha B'Av, or what mark did this Tisha B'Av leave on me personally? As we travel through Sefer Devarim, we recount all of the stories that the Jewish people were a part of, that Jewish people started during their time in the Midbar in the desert. And one of those very famous stories, the awesome event, was Ma'amad Har Sinai. When the Jewish people stood at Har Sinai, at Mount Sinai, and they accepted the Torah that Hashem had given to them. Hashem had personally come down and spoken the Torah to them, and they accepted. Now, prior to the moment at Har Sinai, when Hashem would appear on top of the mountain, the moment was so holy that the Jewish people were told that for 3 days husband and wife needed to stay away from each other. Husbands had to go away from their tents, away from their ohel, to make sure that husband and wife weren't together, so that there was complete purity on that day. Following the giving of the Torah, Hashem says to Moshe, Lech emor lahem, go tell them, Shuvu lachem leo alechem, that they can go back now to their tents. And this story is recounted in Parshas Vaeschanan. Rabbi Menachem Mendel Mikotsk states the following, which I think is so superb. He says, when the Jewish people were told to return to their tents, what were they told to bring with them? They just had the awesome event at Har Sinai, the moment of the greatest high, the moment of the greatest inspiration that they would have in their lives. Some people had the inspiration in one way, other people had the inspiration in another way. The Ma'amad Har Sinai, the standing at Har Sinai, affected every Jew in some way. And the challenge for each person was not how they were at that moment, but the challenge for each person was how they would bring Ma'amad Har Sinai, how they would bring the event, the experience at Har Sinai back to their tents. So that when they return to their tents, they bring with them all that just happened, and they channel it into the activity in their tent, into their home, to ensure that their daily lives were inspired by what transpired at Har Sinai. And I think the same could really be said about Tisha B'Av on a different level this past week. We're now heading into a period where we begin to prepare for the Yomim Noraim, for the high holidays, a 7-week period between now and Rosh Hashanah. And this is a time where God is inviting us to become closer and closer to Him, to the contrary of where He was on Tisha B'Av, far and far away from us. And as He brings us closer and closer, and as we return to our regular lives and celebrating a regular Shabbos, we must ask ourselves, did we allow Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, to impact us in some way? Did we allow any type of inspiration, any type of impact that we received on Tisha B'Av night or on throughout Tisha B'Av day, any little bit that inspired each and every one of us to be channeled into our daily lives, to help us change a character trait, to help us interact in our relationship with God, to be a little bit more committed, whether it be to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or perhaps to be a little bit more different in the way we treat other people. The lessons that we take from Tisha B'Av need to be thought about, need to be internalized, and need to be channeled into our daily lives. That's a wonderful and true message. May we be zocheh to keep it. Thank you for listening, and good Shabbos.